Say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.
October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.
Ooh.
People say I'm toxic, but I don't flaming care. Sponsored by which security?
Are you still there, Gareth?
I am. Sponsored by which security?
SA UK.
Security. SA UK. I love SA UK.
There you go.
How are you?
All right, but Gareth, before we go on, I'd like to dedicate this live to Mr. and Mrs. Gareth A. Davies Senior. That's Mum and Dad. So I'd like to dedicate this live to Mum and Dad because they're brilliant. They've always supported us doing bits together. And I just want to say a personal thank you to them for actually listening in. That means a lot that your parents actually listening.
They're big fans of yours. They've been haranguing me recently to say, why haven't you been on lately? I said I can't get on. Her guest list is so enormous now. She only gets the big names, and I'm allowed on maybe once or twice a year if I'm lucky. I said I've been in the queue a long time, but it's good to see you've braided your hair ready for this morning's show.
Oh, no, it's been like that for a while now. Probably got to take it out. Gareth, I've been catching up with some of your bits that you've been doing on Talk Sport. And obviously, it's fight week. I know you're jetting off to Saudi. Talk to us about this event. I've seen the odds. Obviously, everyone's right. Well, the odds are writing Dillian off completely. The ES Sports, and yet again another arm, another leg that's popping out which is obviously coming out from Riyadh season. Talk to us about that.
Look, in many ways, the hype train is all about Moses Ituama at the moment. 20 years old, like I say, big esports week. That's the reason there's an event over there, Queensbury. Really good card. And in many ways, an esports coming out party for Moses Ituama against clearly the biggest name he's faced so far. We are overhyping him in lots of ways, but he's boxed 25 rounds as a pro. Dillian 197, just to give you the figures. Dillian, in the 30s of fights, and has fought the very biggest names, maybe apart from maybe Usyk. That's it, really. Ajit Kabayel, he's fought everyone else. He hasn't beaten them all, but look, Moses is very special. There's no doubt about it. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's got all the skills. He's shown everything. But this is a major step up in terms of name, resonance, platform, and all those things. So if he can deliver here, there's probably no coming back, and he's going to have to face the top 20 fighters in the world for the next 5 to 6 years.
So it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, Gareth, because like you said, there's no turning back should he come through this fight.
I think for some people, they're on a trajectory that's not traditional, and his isn't. He won very quickly. He's been boxing since he was 13, 14, 15. You know the story about him sparring with Joe Joyce, taking his school blazer off and his tie, going to North London one day from South London with his brother Carol, and sparring Joe Joyce when he was 15, 5 years ago. It's extraordinary, really. He may well go on to break records. And for me, if he looks very convincing against Dillian Whyte and gets the job done and stops Dillian, he probably will face Joseph Parker later this year if the WBO title becomes vacant, even though we don't know yet whether Alexander Usyk is going to take that mandation or the mandated decision from the WBO for him to face Joseph Parker. Riyadh season's not behind it, as you know. They put out a tweet saying they don't support the fight, which is a shame because it should be Joseph Parker and Usyk. But if that belt becomes vacant, it wouldn't surprise me if Moses looks very good against Dillian if they put him in with Joseph Parker next, which again is a very dangerous fight against probably the number. If you count Tyson Fury as being out at the moment, probably the number 2 or 3 heavyweight in the world.
And the thing is with Joseph Parker is he's continuously improving. I don't see, since his loss to Anthony Joshua, he's had a few messy comeback fights, but since then he's improved.
Well, he lost to Joe Joyce, didn't he? Which was a big turning point. The
Yeah.
first fight 8 or 9 fights ago with Andy Lee, and then the union, the alliance of those two has been very, very good for him. Look, again, Moses Ituama against Joseph Parker is a very interesting fight, very dangerous fight for him, a very risky fight. But if he wins that one, maybe
I know where you're going.
Usyk next 4 or 5 months into next year, which again is the most difficult fight on the planet for him. But that's the resonance if everything goes right. That's the trajectory, the projection, the parabola, if you like, if everything goes right. But this sport's got a horrible habit of going wrong for people as well.
And that is where I want your opinion, Gareth. You have sat ringside for how many years now, watching fights in detail, doing commentary on those fights, reporting after those fights have happened. Why is Dillian Whyte so dangerous? But also why, except for the obvious, is he being written off?
Look, on the one hand, he's being paid really well for this. On the other hand, and Moses #1 with the WBO. So if Dillian wins, it would probably be a rematch with Moses Ituama because there'd be money there for him, of course. But because Moses probably wants to right the wrongs, but it puts him in a really strong position with the WBO and potentially gives him the chance to fight for the WBO title. He's a dangerous fighter. He's 37 though. He's got a hellacious left hook. Gives it all. He looks in really good shape. I haven't been around Dillian yet, but he looks in really good shape. I think Buddy McGirt's playing a bit of a game, playing along with Dillian being the underdog. Buddy's very experienced, saying that he hasn't watched any video of Moses Ituama. I don't really believe him. They will have seen bits of Moses Ituama, there's no doubt about it. Dillian has got experience. Dillian needs to go in there and believe in himself. He needs to old man him mentally, physically, and emotionally this week, in my view, and get stuck into Moses, get something out of him, get push him, shove him, get in his face. That's what I think he should do. I think he should try and unsettle the young man, see what he's got, test his mettle. Dillian was at his best, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. I know he's on a 3-fight win streak, but the return match against Povetkin, 2008, 2019, the wins over Lucas Brown, Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora. That's quite a long time ago. And Dillian's had a very inactive 2 or 3 years, but you can't write him off. You can't say he's got no chance at all. But I just feel instinctively that, and I'm probably buying into the hype slightly as well, that Moses' speed, southpaw stance, angles that he creates with the left hand, all those kind of things, Abs, give him very favourable opportunities and chances in this fight.
Another fight that I'm interested on that card, and we can go to the chat. So good morning to everybody here. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, my subscribers are the best subscribers in the world, but we'll leave that bias there. Another fight on the card that I'm really looking forward to that we're not really talking about is Filip Herovic versus David Adelaide. Now, I think that's a really good fight. We've got, like I said, Herovic, very experienced, a vast amateur pedigree. He comes in as a solid opponent. We know that he's got those fundamentals, those boxing fundamentals, where we saw David Adelaide sort of fall short when it came to the likes of Jamie Takivi. It's that boxer that you've got to worry about with him. Can David Adelaide keep somebody like Herovic off? We know he can knock him out. That's not the issue. But the boxing skill, will boxing win in this, or is it down to David Adelaide's power once again?
Well, I think Adelaide's got to use his power in this fight, Abby. The thing is, or should I be calling you October Red? Will I get banned for calling you Abs? I should be calling you.
You can call me anything you like, Gareth.
I will call you October Red from now on. I think I'm going to get this right today, especially as I was on time, which I was really proud of because I'm such a villain for being late for your shows.
You are a villain.
So David Adelaide has got to make this a dogfight. He's got to let his
Dogfight.
power go. He looks in fantastic shape.
Always.
He was upended by Fabio Wardley, but look what he's done since. Very odd fight with Jamie TKV. He's obviously not taken the rematch and gone upwards and up the division, if you like. Herovic was once the boogeyman of the division. I think Daniel Dubois solved that riddle with a brilliant performance coming through and stopping Herovic and cutting him. I think Herovic lost. I think he lost to Gilles Zhang, even though he got the decision. I think Adam Booth is a really smart trainer, and I think he's probably got into the head of his fighter and said to David, go out there, throw your hands, do your thing, educated pressure, look at what Daniel Dubois did to him, be a destroyer, quash and quell all his boxing abilities, don't go to the late rounds, and don't let him establish his jab. And that right hand he throws from here, Herovic, that people talk about, that it's hard to see coming. He throws
like a screw shot.
Like a screw shot, exactly. And people talk about when they spar with him, it's hard to see that shot coming. And Daniel Dubois took it a lot as well in that fight with him in Riyadh. Massive opportunity for Adelaide to step up in the division. He can get big fights after this, maybe a Wardley rematch if he wins this. And weirdly, at the moment, of course, those two are fighting. Ituama and Whyte are fighting. We've just had Usyk and Dubois fight. But you look down that list. I've got a list of it here. I was looking at it earlier. Joshua, Fury, Jarrell Miller's been slated to fight Michael Hunter. That's on the 11th of September. But Kabayel, Parker, Fury, Joshua, Bakoli, they all need fights at the moment. And the heavyweight division's quite quiet. So maybe they're waiting for the outcome of these two fights on Saturday night to see where everyone else is going to be positioned for the next 5 to 6 months.
It's interesting that you say that, because even though it's busy, it's quite clogged. You're right. There are people like sitting around. I mean, I spoke to both Ajit Kabayel and Joseph Parker a few weeks ago in London, and I suggested that potentially they fight each other. Why not fight each other rather than sitting around? And it was like, oh, well, we're kind of like under the same like management team, etc., etc. So there's other stuff that's involved, but they're collecting dust while everyone's keeping busy. Everyone's scared of risking, losing a fight, not necessarily but losing a fight and
losing their position. Yeah. With, Parker with the WBO, Kabayel with the WBA. I think it's the WBA. So I think they should have fought each other. And at the end of the day, what threw it into confusion was, remember, we were going to have Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker.
True.
February, which we never did. And then obviously Dubois and Usyk was the next fight to be made. And like you say, Parker and Kabayel have been treading water ever since. They should ordinarily have fought each other, and the winner of that should have fought Usyk. I didn't really understand it didn't make much sense when Riyadh Season, Ring Magazine, Seller put out that they don't want Parker and Usyk. So because Parker definitely merits a fight for the world title. I don't know why they don't like it. But it's what he should get that fight, and like you say, they should fight each other. But I understand Ajit Kabayel's going to fight in Germany soon against someone who's in the top 20. Can't reveal the name, even though I know the name they're talking to, but I'm not going to reveal it because talks are ongoing at the moment, my understanding is. And then we need a fight for Parker.
Desperately.
It should be Chisora, in my view. Chisora and Parker.
You know what? I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of that. That's a match I've never really thought of.
Well, I mean, I think, Derek's knocking around everywhere, giving his opinion everywhere, wants his 50th fight. There's a lot worse opponents than Joseph Parker out there. And if he beats Parker, look where he sits. And I think, I'd favour Parker to win that, but it's a fight, in my view, that should be made.
I want to touch on the fact that you've said, that Seller are interested in Usyk versus Parker. And I'm asking your opinion on the scope of boxing. And the reason why I ask you, Gareth, is your vast experience over decades in the sport. And you see the transitions, the changes, the policies, what becomes important, what doesn't. Are we losing the essence of you've earned your right, you're in this position, you're ranked here, so you should have that fight based on, okay, how many bombs are we going to get on seats? How much money can we make out of this? This is becoming like almost a Colosseum circus. Where are we going with boxing is where I'm getting at. And the reason why I'm asking that is because we're going to lead on to Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. So this is kind of like the conduit that blends those two parts together.
There's always hypocrisy in boxing. Sometimes we get meritocracy. When Fury and Usyk fought twice last year, it was the right two people fighting for the undisputed title. I think they are presently the 1 and 2 of the era. I don't think there's much doubt about that. I think people are feeling that Usyk Parker's not a big fight, so it's not going ahead. If it was Usyk Fury, it would go ahead. If they were one apiece, for example, that fight would go ahead because commercially it's massive. And whatever you say about what's happened in the last 2 years in the heavyweight division, and it has been an amazing shake-up, and it has created a lot of matchups, a great time in the heavyweight division, investment from the Saudi Arabians and Turkey Al Sheikh, Riyadh Season, Salah, all those guys, Public Investment Fund. We've come to a bit of a shuddering halt, and we've come to a moment in time where I think an analysis of the divisions going on, Abs, and I think we are at a standstill at the moment. I think they're all waiting to see what Ituama does against Dillian Whyte at the weekend to bring that back in, because then I think the division falls into place if Parker is going to fight Ituama. But if he is, he still needs a fight in the interim. It's in good health right now, because when the heavyweight division's strong, the rest of the divisions are strong, in my view. And Turkey Al Sheikh's moved his focus to America now. It was on the UK for nearly 2 years. And he's moved his focus to America, and Shakur Stevenson and Garcia and Haney and all those guys, Crawford and Canelo. I just think we're at a little bit of an impasse. Something's not quite right at the moment, in my view. That's my instinct on it.
Yes.
And thank you for saying how long I've been in the sport. It's another way of saying how old I am.
Oh, it's experience. The thing is, you've watched it. I can only give you a decade of true watching. I can say I've been in and out and watching the sport for years, but I can say the last decade I've been watching it properly. So your experience is paramount, because you would have seen a lot more changes than I would have done, dipping in and out.
Overall then, October Red, the changes are brilliant for the sport right now. That's what I would say. The market value at the top of the sport is overestimated. I think there've been a lot of giveaways. Giveaways is not the right word, but the fighters have been overpaid. However much they earn is brilliant, but they've been overpaid in terms of market value. But that was Turkey Al Sheikh underwriting the sport, Saudi underwriting the sport, and giving it a fuel injected period of time, which it has for the last 2 years. When you think that we're not even 2 years since Battle of the Baddest, October 2023. Yeah. So you look at the enormous changes in the sport. I've never seen so many changes. I think the biggest change prior to that was really the growth of MMA and the pressure that put on boxing to try and deliver the best, fighting the best. And I think we still had two cataclysmic, enormous, humongous events that, with Mayweather and McGregor and Mayweather and Pacquiao, that were bigger than anything we've seen under this era, if you like. But those are the two biggest events that I think I've ever seen. Yeah, before that it was probably Oscar De La Hoya and Mayweather, and then Lewis and that era with Tyson and Holyfield and Bowe, and that, you know, that period. I mean, the period before that, you know, Holmes, Foreman, Patterson, Ali. I've lived vicariously through, you know, doing interviews with all the people from that era as a journalist. So, you know, really I think from 1960 onwards, when Ali won the world title, even just before him, Floyd Patterson, I think this is one of the seminal periods in heavyweight.
Okay.
That's why I think Usyk is a very special character, as an all-time great, and could have lived with anyone going back to the late 50s, early 60s.
So where do we go from there when we're now in the process of, I'm not, you know, Anthony Joshua potentially fighting Jake Paul? I mean,
no, can't happen. Shouldn't be licensed. I just, God forbid it goes ahead, because I'm not going to boycott it because I need to be there if it happens. But I really seriously think it's a step too far. You can go to the edge of the cliff, like Jake Paul has with faded MMA stars and much older boxers like Mike Tyson. Obviously, I was there for TalkSport and the Telegraph covering that event last November, and it felt strange on the night. There was a lot of nostalgia, but the bottom line was Mike Tyson was a very old man at that point in terms of being in the ring. Yeah. Anthony Joshua is a very dangerous live dog at heavyweight, punches really hard, an absolute killer in the ring. I mean that metaphorically. Yep. And Jake Paul is an British area level cruiserweight. So it just shouldn't be sanctioned. It shouldn't be allowed. Even though it would be hugely watched and I'm sure a massive commercial success. I really do not want to see that contract get signed.
But
how do you feel about it?
More or less, maybe from a danger point of view, this is where maybe the sinister fan side of me kicks in. I don't really care about the result, and that's bad, but that's just me. I'm more, how can I put it? When it comes to boxing, maybe I've got a little bit of a classist attitude, kind of like, I just don't believe he deserves to be in the ring with a. I'm not saying that Jake Paul's not a boxer, because he is trying his best and he's doing his bits, but he's, like you said, he's fighting historians. I don't believe he deserves to be in the ring with like the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Even they were doing a face-off. But maybe that's just my, I don't know, old-fashioned boxing prejudice. The result is inevitable. I just think that you have to earn your right to do something on meritocracy. I'm not bums on seats, but I'm not the one that's cashing the check. So I've got a different point of view.
It's a very difficult one for Joshua, because if he knows he can make 50 million and it's a win-win for his bank balance and in the ring, then that's up to him. But look, Canelo was close to signing a deal, we understand, to fight Jake Paul. So, but if there's this unwritten contract, I think, and I think it is an unwritten contract, or it feels like there is between boxers and Jake Paul, that they're not going to hurt him, and that they know it's one of the oddities of world boxing right now. You can't dismiss the fact that Jake Paul is a brilliant marketeer and showman, but he should not be in with the very best and the most dangerous fight. It's a dangerous fight, and this is an inherently dangerous sport. 2 Japanese fighters on the same card died in the last week. Yes. These things do happen. It was a stark reminder of the inherent dangers in the sport. And I just hope they don't end up in a ring together. I'm very conscious that I've got to jump off in 5 minutes.
Okay, the last question then is just to cover Boxer's new deal with the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, 25 years. Let's jump on the bandwagon. Opportunists, free to view, but potential pay-per-view. So many questions. 3 minutes, Gareth. What can you tell me in 3 minutes?
Well, I think it's a really good move for Ben Shalom, boxer. And when I first spoke about it, I didn't have the details. I did a couple of interviews last week about the. I thought it was just going to be on the BBC iPlayer, and I'd worked on the BBC iPlayer with Bellator when they signed a deal with the BBC, and I think it's really good the fact it's on BBC One. It's a massive platform. It's the shoulder programming and the household names that Lauren Price, Fran Hennessy, Caroline Dubois, Ben Whittaker, Adam Azim, Callum Simpson can all become, Fraser Clark. They can all become through being on that platform. If it is Saturday night and it's just before match of the day, it's a brilliant time with a big audience. Goes to virtually every household in the UK. First time for 25 years that boxing's been on the BBC in terms of live professional events. Apart from a few little inserts, I covered Audley Harrison, who was the last one to be on there when he won his Olympic.
I listened to that. Wow.
And you know, the BBC made a mistake at the time of not signing up a matchmaker and them deciding who he would fight. So he fought strippers and doormen, male strippers and doormen and binmen and security guys and guys off a taxi rank. And I tell the story of in his 7th fight, they booed him into Olympia in Liverpool and they booed him out again because they knew it was just, he was choosing easy opponents. And that blotted the copybook for the BBC, and they once bitten, twice shy about getting involved in boxing. Ben Shalom's got this over the line. I think it's a really good thing for boxing, really good thing for his stable. I think he keeps his stable intact. Now, obviously, he's lost Joshua Boatsi, but apart from that, I think they've got a massive opportunity, the boxers, by being on that platform. Maybe not as big a payday, but a bigger resonance with the British public.
Interesting. Gareth, I appreciate your time so much. I wish you a safe flight. I know you're jetting off to Saudi. Look forward to your reports over there with the ES Sports. And let's see what happens with Ituama versus Whyte. Interesting times ahead for the heavyweight division for sure.
Absolutely. Do I need to answer? I see a load of questions up here, by the way. Do we
Gareth,
need to answer?
by all means, have a look. Let's have a look. Hold on a second. Right. Metalbox J says, ask Gareth if he's read Thomas Hauser's reviews of the Warriors Core book.
Yeah, Call of the Warrior. I did in Ring Magazine. It was very nice of Thomas to review it. They showed some pictures in there. He thought I could have been a little bit more critical of the boxers, was his criticism. But it wasn't about that. It was about telling their story and why they were drawn into the sport. All those essays. And yeah, but it was nice of them to review it in Ring Magazine. Absolute privilege.
Metalbox J also gone on to say, tell Gareth we need more Telegraph articles. He's quite on there of late.
Yeah, we don't do as much. I'm doing one piece on Moses Ituama this week. There aren't big. We're only doing 1 or 2 pieces on the big events. It's just the way the sport is run at the Telegraph now, and we just curate big pieces. We're not covering massive detail and lots of previews and fight reports. The last couple of pieces I've done have been paddleboarding with Fran Hennessy, big piece on Daniel Dubois, and obviously they do live blogs on the big events, which they'll be doing this weekend as well.
Awesome. Toby Ringo Bartlett, as I like to call him. Isn't Chisora mandatory for a Usyk rematch? And Usyk's mentioned Derek a few times.
Yeah, that's possible, but I don't think it's going to... I mean, it is possible, but it's... I don't think Usyk wants his last fight to be Derek Chisora, but I would not rule it out completely. It is a possibility.
Hakan has said, is Tony Yoka more likely to fight Anthony Joshua next, or is it Jake Paul?
Well, I'd rather see Tony Yoka fight him next, but if I'd really like to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have tune-up fights and then obviously fight each other. I do hope we get that fight, Abs.
Awesome. And the final one from Hakan, it said, if Boxer is having 4 shows a year, this is allegedly, How are we getting all fighters out on just 4 shows a year?
Well, I think that's easy to do. Ben Shalom gets his whole stable out. If they do 4 fights in 2012, in 2025 and 2025 and 2026, 4 cards, 2 this year, 2 next year, or 1 this year and 3 next year, however they're going to do it. I think he can get his whole stable out.
Brilliant. Gareth, safe flight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me on, Abs.
2 weeks' time and tell Mum and Dad I said hi.
Okay, I will indeed. I think they're watching this morning, so I've been on my best behaviour.
Oh, we don't want you on your best behaviour, though, Gareth.
You know what I mean.
I prefer mischievous, Gareth.
Okay.
Next time.
No flirting. No flirting this time. Which I thought
no, I'm on everybody's blacklist for flirting, so I need to behave myself, to be fair. So, yeah. Gareth, until the next time, you take it easy. Goodbye to the subscribers. Remember, we've got a busy week this week. Obviously, we've done the GAD this morning. We go live after the press conference, the weigh-in, and we are live for fight night. There should be another On the Call With podcast out this week. And depending what happens in boxing news, we'll be doing some reviews also. Thank you all for listening. Remember, October Red is proudly sponsored by SA UK, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss. And as we say, October Red, stay ready. Thank you, Gareth.
Pleasure.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.
October Red is sponsored by SA Security, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss.